We've gotten all good result for cases done well, but we've also got poor results in cases which we feel we have done well immediately and post-operatively, or after 6 weeks you realize after grafting, after doing all the reduction maneuvers, the head is a shell and it just simply doesn't hold the screws and the whole thing falls back despite of having all your tuberosities in place. The older generation nails had problems. They were entering through the greater tuberosity or through the rotator cuff. They had no locking mechanism of the screw, and the screws were not in different planes. They were uniplanar from medial to lateral, and they used to always give a problem as far as good hold is concerned. Now the third generation nails are completely different from what we've been using all the times. They are straight nails. The previous nails were curved and they had a bend at the proximal end. The entry point of straight nails is through the articular surface. It's not anywhere close to the insertion of the rotator cuff. It is through the articular surface. It's absolutely in line with the medullary canal, and that itself takes care of lot of reduction problems. You get good valgus, you get good medial calcar support because now the nail itself is providing that support, which initially used to put in calcar screws and get your medial side supported. The nail itself provides that support, and you don't need to graft these areas because it is a medullary occupying device. It's like the PFN. It prevents any kind of collapse. If you want to read about a nail, read this article. It's a good preliminary article for knowing what are the advantages of a nail. So that's the straight nail which we have access to. That's the AO Synthes nail, which is and our designs which our people have copied. They have a conical proximal 4.5 screw in which another screw which is 3.5 can go, and distal locking is 4.5. You can have nails for proximal end of humerus as well as nails for the entire shaft of the humerus with similar principles. Advantages I just talked about. Another advantage is the approach. You get a direct access to the fracture. Pradeep told you the importance of reduction through the fracture. You don't go around the fracture, you go through the fracture and use the fracture planes for your reduction. Once the fracture is reduced, you just put your trochanters back and your thing will stay very, very stable. So key to successes, which again my previous two speakers have spoken, there should be correct tuberosity reduction. That is very, very important. Amir told you that vascularity of the proximal end of the humerus does not as much depend on the medial corner as much on the greater tuberosity. If there's greater tuberosity malunion, your vascularity will be a problem. So your tuberosity should sit very well back in place, and there should be no virus to the head. If you get these two things right, you will have good success. I will not talk about the displacements which have already been spoken. I'll just give you one or two case examples. This is a valgus impacted fracture. She's a 62-year-old female. We can do a plating over here through the various maneuvers which were just talked about. What I did was the valgus impacted through the anterolateral approach. We entered through the fracture site. The greater tuberosity is right there in front of you. You flip it back so the fracture is visible. The humeral head is visible. You reduce it, and I put in a nail from the proximal side. The greater tuberosities are sutured back, and the screws are then put through the tuberosities to lock it in multiple different planes. And this is at the end of 6 months. You get excellent range of motion. The fracture heals up beautifully. There is no need to worry about any kind of collapse or any kind of bone grafting or anything. This just heals very well. Patient is absolutely comfortable. Again, ये video आगे करने का view लगाना. So I don't have to go through the whole video. Yeah. आगे हाँ. Sorry. Yes. I will come to that. What you are saying is right. Good external rotation and excellent internal rotation. All movements are absolutely good. I'll come to what you're saying, sir. So it's very small video, about 3 minutes. I'll just showing the entry point and the salient features which in a nail is important. The incision is just about 4 to 5 centimeters. Do not go into the zone where the axillary nerve is located. That's the deltoid. between the anterior and the middle raphe, you split the deltoid. That's the subacromial bursa. You just open it or excise it as required. And then you access the rotator cuff. Now here, important thing is you have to go into the muscular portion of the rotator cuff. So you have to go medially, not on the lateral side, not towards the greater tuberosity side. In this patient, the tuberosity was partially broken. So that's the rotator cuff which is split. And what you immediately encounter is the humeral head. Now, if there is a trochanteric fracture, the entire thing is opened out like a book. The trochanter goes on the back, the tuberosity goes on the back side, and the humeral head is right there in front of you. So this is a valgus impaction. So you can use indirect reduction through the fracture. Just put in an artery, get the humeral shaft out, and disimpact the humeral head. You put it back into its position of anatomy. So that's the humeral head. Now medial contact is there. The greater tuberosity has come down. The articular surface is facing the glenoid, and you can see it directly end on. Now, one thing which you should do after this to not get the humeral head to rotate is to transfix it to the glenoid. So put a wire from the humeral head into the glenoid. Now the humeral head is locked in place. You can take in sutures for your greater tuberosity. Here the tuberosity was partially avulsed. Part of the tuberosity was still attached to the proximal humerus. You impale it so that the humeral head now stays in the valgus which you've gotten, the valgus which you want. Your entry point is important. It has to be at the most apical portion of the articular cartilage, about 1.5 centimeters away from the fractured margin. So when you take a reaming, you have a kind of an opening created with a lateral margin of the articular surface not communicating to the fracture. So that margin is intact. So you can see, I'll just pause it here. I'll just pause it to show you what I'm emphasizing. Okay. So that's the guide wire. You see, the guide wire is exactly at the apex. That's reaming. ये क्या है, इसको प्ले पॉज करने को बताना मेरे को. Yeah, so the guide wire is exactly at the apex, and when I ream it, this is a protection sleeve. This margin, the margin of this area is intact, so it should not break. That's the nail. The third generation nails, the screws lock inside the nail. The previous nail, the screw used to slide backward and forward. Here it doesn't slide backward and forward. You have to actually screw it in, so it locks inside. There are threads inside the nail also, so it won't toggle, it won't back out very easily. Even in a porotic bone, it holds well. Then you simply pass the nail goes through the shaft, and by virtue of pushing it through the shaft, your reduction of the shaft to the proximal end is achieved. Important thing, as Karkhani sir pointed out, the nail has to be sunk about 1 to half a centimeter inside. So that locks your reduction, and the proximal portion of the humeral head of the nail will not allow the humeral head to go varus valgus or mediolaterally. It will hold that humeral head in place because there is intact bone all around. And next is just the jig and the locking part. Important thing is to remember that the nail should be sunken inside. It should not be out of the articular cartilage, because it will hit the rotator cuff and give rise to problems. Your locking is in different direction: antero-posterior, anteromedial, posterolateral, posteromedial, anterolateral. 3 locks on the proximal side and a 4th lock antero-posteriorly, which you rarely use. The 4th lock antero-posteriorly goes from the lesser tuberosity into the shaft. The lesser tuberosity, you just suture it back. You don't need to put in a screw. In a comminuted lesser tuberosity, definitely you should not put in a screw. Then you have the lock-in lock screw, which goes from one of the screws inside, that will lock all your proximal fragments in place. This is another case where there is a varus impaction. Again, you do a valgus reduction. You put in your entry point absolutely at the apex of the articular cartilage. You get a good valgus reduction, and in about 8 months, the entire thing has healed up well with good bone formation on the medial side, the soft tissue dissection is minimum. In this case, there is a metaphyseal comminution. You can make out the metaphyseal beak is not really well formed over here. There is a little bit of overlap, what Amit told you. According to Hertel criteria, this would probably go in for AVN, but here at the end of 7 months, you can see that the medial beak has reformed and the humeral head is very much back in place. I'll not show you the video of this. This is a 75-year-old woman, very porotic. Greater and lesser tuberosity is broken. We go through the same approach. Lock the humeral head in place by a nail. This is immediate post-op and this is 7 months. She doesn't have full range, but she's completely painless and quite functional. Good rotations and good movement. She doesn't have full abduction, but look at the healing. The healing is there completely. The calcar screw had practically no hold. It backed out. We'll remove that soon, but absolutely good function. We have used it for shaft humerus fracture. This is just a representative case where there is a severe significant comminution. Here, because we are not doing anything to the proximal end of the humerus, you can use a different approach. We use a Nevasier's portal, which is behind the AC joint. This is a more proximal portal. This is a more closed technique. The anterolateral approach, you actually go through the fracture or you open the fracture. Here, the Nevasier's portal is behind the AC joint and you go through the belly of the supra and the infraspinatus. It is less traumatic. Again, you get a good hold on the humeral head. And this is 2-year follow-up with a complete movement. So for want of time, I will not go too much. I'll just tell you the advantages of a nail. There is decrease. You don't have to pass in screws like in the plate. You just have 3 or 4 screws proximally. That gives you good hold because the screws are in multiplanar direction. In the plate, the screws are from lateral to medial. They may be divergent or convergent, but essentially all are lateral to medial. Here the screws can be from anterolateral, posteromedial side. So there is a multiplanar screw. The proximal end of the nail itself holds the humeral head in place. So you're not depending on the screws to hold the humeral head. The proximal end of the nail is sitting inside the humeral head and preventing it from moving medial laterally or backwards and forwards. Biologically and biomechanically, it is much, much more stabler than a plate, and your operative time is short and your dissections is also less. So key to success in any proximal humerus fracture, whether you're using a plate or nail, you have to not have a varus. For a nail, this can be easily gotten by taking a medial entry point. If you take a medial entry point, your head automatically goes into valgus. You should have some calcar support, but that is a property of the fracture itself. You really can't help too much there. But with a nail, you get length. You can just push or you can just pull the humerus. You get proper length. Your medial side is absolutely not dissected. The soft tissue is intact there. Your tuberosity reduction is absolutely important. Even in a plate, your tuberosity should be below the articular surface, and the greater tuberosity should be exactly where it should be in the normal side. So all your effort should be getting the tuberosities back, tying them together. The GT and the LT are sutured together so as to get a good hold. And one more important criteria to get a good final post-op result is to avoid immobilization. And if you have to, don't do it in internal rotation. So the universal shoulder immobilizer or an arm pouch is absolutely no for shoulder surgery. You have to give abduction pillow, keep it in neutral rotation, because the moment you rotate internally, you're putting pressure on the broken greater tuberosity, and posteriorly your muscles are trying to pull it back. So there is always a tension on the posterior side. If you immobilize it in neutral rotation with slight external rotation, the rotator cuff is not stressed and your fracture is not overstressed. So don't immobilize in internal rotation. Use an abduction pillow. Thank you very much.